I'm joined now by Chris Clark. He is the president and the CEO of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate you joining us. Of course, the lawmakers are under the Gold Dome right now. What is the Georgia Chamber of Commerce telling legislators that they think the agenda should be including?
Jim, it's the same three things we've been working on for the last 5 years. It's work on workforce development, talent, education improvement, it's infrastructure of the future, and it's making sure that Georgia remains a competitive state, whether it's through tax, lawsuit abuse reform, helping small businesses. So those are the three big buckets that we go and talk to the General Assembly about every single day.
We saw yesterday, again, another big automotive plant coming to Candler County, announcing a huge building coming there.
Right.
That region is growing so fast, and of course, you have to have infrastructure to have that kind of industry.
Right, and we're so blessed. Governor Kemp announced in his budget $1.5 billion worth of new investment to help on those types of projects and to think long-term about how we move goods and products out of the ports of Savannah. Obviously, that port has continued to grow. They just announced a multi-billion-dollar growth plan for the next 10 years. So a lot of investment there, and then a big discussion about how we continue to pay for railroads, roads, bridges over the long term.
That's a big cost right up front, but is the business growth worth it?
Absolutely. In the long term, if you're talking about a company that's coming in and bringing 6,000 jobs and 30 suppliers, I mean, we're going to have more manufacturing jobs in Georgia as part of our economy than we've had in the history of the state. When you look at the hubs around Georgia, too, obviously lots of activity down here in southwest Georgia, all that activity on the coast between Atlanta and Augusta, and then up 75 and 85. And now you're seeing growth on 85 South, I think soon 75 South as well. So really all over the state. 77% of all the new announcements in the last 5 years in Georgia have been in rural communities. And so that's the communities that need those jobs, and we have to have the infrastructure in place and the workforce to allow them to continue to grow and prosper. 5 record years of economic development growth. And what I think I'm most proud of is the fact that we're seeing economic growth in every corner of Georgia, and particularly in southwest Georgia. When we had this conversation 5 or 10 years ago, it was really a dire circumstance down here, but you have a governor that's focused on it, the chamber's focused on it, your local economic developers. The event that we're having this week, the Georgia Quail Hunt, brings hundreds over the last few years of prospects to this part of the state, and it's paying dividends.
Chris Clark, the President and CEO of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.